to Mark Gibson Shumaris channel. Accountant with designations CPA, MBA, CMA, ACPA, ASA, Australia. Enjoy learning.
We will discuss about the inventory cost flow. No? So basically, this is part of the financial accounting and reporting, and as well as your cost accounting classes. No? Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so inventory cost flow. So we'll discuss about the different costing issues and the lower of costs or net realizable value. No? So how we determine the subsequent valuation of our inventory. So remember, we have discussed before the different say scenarios, no, wherein we've discussed say what factors to determine who should record the inventory, no? So on which book should the inventory be recorded. No? Okay, so today we'll discuss about the different inventory costing. No? But before that, let's discuss, we'll also discuss about the different costing methods. No? So we have first in, first out, weighted average method, and the moving average method. And when is each of these inventory costing methods should be used. No? Okay, so first let's discuss some of the costing issues. No? So at acquisition at lump sum price, no? So meaning one good example of this would be purchasing, no, the number of inventory items where you were given a lump sum price. No? So for example, inventory A, B, C, and D. And then instead of itemizing each of this inventory, what your suppliers did is just put in a lump sum price. No? So in this case, we'll use the relative selling price approach method. No? So later on, I prepared a sample discussion problem to tackle this RSP, or the relative selling price approach. No? Now, in terms of the cost flow assumption, actually there are two factors that we need to consider. No? So of course, number one is the ending inventory, and next is the cost of goods sold. No? So now we have to determine first, no, whether it's heterogeneous products or homogeneous products. No? So when we say heterogeneous products, we can apply it specifically. No? So say for example, valuable items, so jewelry. So we can actually specify it, and then we apply the specific identification method. No? Now if it's homogeneous products, or these are inventory items of small value or interchangeable, then we follow A, first in, first out. No? So COGS are valued at the earlier purchases, while the ending inventory, kasi nga 'di ba, first in, first out. So yung mga nauna mo na purchase would fall under COGS. Now yung more recent purchase mo would account for your EI, or your ending inventory. No? So don't worry kung hindi masyado nasusundan, but later on we'll have it in a problem, no, para at least mas ma-appreciate yung theoretical part. No? Again, another method, no, under homogeneous products. So sabi natin, pag homogeneous product, this is of small value and interchangeable. So earlier we discussed about FIFO, first in, first out. Now let's talk about the average cost method. No, average cost method, it's ending inventory multiplied by average cost. That's how to value your ending inventory. No? Now, in terms of your cost of goods sold, it's units sold multiplied by the average cost. Ngayon, pag-usapan natin, ano ba ito yung average cost na kanina ko pa binabanggit. No? If you are using a periodic basis, so meaning you are applying the periodic inventory system method, usually you do this end of year. No? You the method of the average cost method that we refer to is the weighted average cost. So tandaan ng class, there are two average cost methods. Number one, weighted average cost and moving average costing. We use weighted average cost if it's periodic inventory system. And then for moving average costing naman, if it's perpetual inventory system. So meaning meron ka dyang inventory cards. No? Now, kailan dapat ginagawa ang moving average costing? Remember, we compute for the average cost for every purchase or purchase return. No? So yan yung medyo tricky kasi unlike in a periodic inventory system, we calculate one weighted average cost when at the end of the year. No? While in moving average costing, every time you do purchase and every time you have a purchase return transaction, we have to calculate for our moving average cost. No? So later on, I also have a discussion problem prepared, no, to discuss that. Now, let's apply it through discussion problems. No? So let's have problem number one. Problem number one, let me read the requirement. Under the moving average method, what amount? Sorry, let's do problem number one first. No? So what is the cost of inventory on January 31 under the FIFO method? And then number two, what is the cost of inventory on January 31 under weighted average method? So tandaan class, the weighted average method, if it is applying periodic inventory system. No? So meaning there's an inventory count towards the year, no, or at year end of year or at year end. No? So let's have problem number one. Okay, so here you go. Let me read the problem. An entity had 100,000 units of product A on hand at January 1, costing 20 pesos each. A physical count on January 31 showed 250,000 units of product A on hand. Purchases of product A during the month of January were January 10, 200,000 at 25 pesos. January 18, 300,000 units at 30 pesos. And January 28, 400,000 at 35 pesos. Ang tinatanong sa number one class, wag magpapalito, this is the cost of the inventory on January 31 under the FIFO method. No? So January 31 meaning this is the ending inventory. O tandaan agad natin, no? If it's ending inventory under the first in first out method, therefore the valuation of your ending inventory would be coming from your most recent purchases, no? So ilang units ba yung meron sa ending inventory natin? Ayan, 250,000 units. So if it's 250,000 units, ang sabi natin, no, under first in first out method, kaya nga first in first out, yung matitira sa ending inventory natin would be coming from the most recent purchases. So meaning yung pinaka most recent, no? So ito yung pinakahuli in terms of purchases, no? So tignan natin ngayon, no? So we have 250,000 units of product A daw. Ano ba yung most recent purchase natin? Ayan, on January 28, we purchased 400,000 units at how much? 35 pesos per unit. No? So therefore, this 250,000 ending inventory came from the purchase from January 28 of 400,000. No? So meron tayong 250,000 multiplied by 35. So therefore, the cost of the ending inventory under the first in, first out method would be 8,750,000. So the correct answer is letter D. Oops. Ayan. Okay, so let's go now to requirement number 2. O class, in requirement number 2, this is average costing. What is the cost of the inventory on January 31 under weighted average? No? So, under weighted average class, ito lang yung tatandaan nating formula. It's cost of goods available for sale divide by units available for sale. No? So, syempre, gawan muna natin ng calculation bago tayo pumunta dyan sa formula natin. No? So, what's the beginning inventory? So, beginning inventory is given, that's 100,000. And provided din naman yung cost niya. No? So, that's 100,000 multiplied by 20. That's the beginning inventory. So, buuin ko na lang to para at least hindi malito when you go back to the recording. No? And also, I've already provided you with the Excel file and PowerPoint, no? So at least you can do your own review at your own time, no? So that's 100,000 multiplied by 20, so that's 2 million. No? So tandaan class, wala pa tayong ina-analyze dito. Ito pa lang lahat yung mga given, no? So add purchases, no? So ano ba yung mga purchases natin? Ayan, 200,000 multiplied by 25. Again, given lahat yan, we just get the product, no? So 300,000 multiplied by 30, so that's 9 million. 400,000 multiplied by 35, that's 14 million. So total purchases would be 28 million pesos. So with that, pwede na natin makompute ngayon yung cost of goods available for sale. So cost of goods available for sale, no? O tandaan lang palagi yung basic accounting mo. So that's beginning inventory plus purchases, then you can compute for your cost of goods available for sale. So in this case, ang beginning inventory natin is 2 million, add purchases of 28 million. So total cost of goods available for sale would be 30 million pesos. So okay na tayo dun sa first equation. Pag-usapan ngayon natin yung units available for sale. So class na, so units available for sale, so basically all you have to do is add the beginning inventory and all the purchases, no? So that would be 1 million units, no? So meron na ngayon tayong 30 million na goods available for sale, and then units available for sale of 1 million. Nakuha ngayon natin yung 30 pesos per unit na average cost, no? Multiply by the ending inventory of 250,000. Again, this is given. So the total ending inventory under weighted average method would be 7,500,000 pesos. So I hope nasundan yan, class. The correct answer to requirement number 2 would be 7,500,000 or letter A. Okay, so let's go to discussion problem number 2. So discussion problem number 2, remember class, kung napansin nyo, ang ginawa natin kanina, we introduced the theoretical part. We've covered FIFO, weighted average method, and then the moving average method. No? So this time, on problem number 2, we'll cover moving average method. Tandaan, during our discussion earlier, napag-usapan natin that we have to calculate for the average cost, no? Every time there is a purchase or a purchase return. No? So pag-usapan natin yung discussion problem number 2. Let me read the requirement first. Under the moving average method, what should be reported as inventory on January 31? No? So during the month of January, an entity recorded the following information pertaining to inventory. So we have the balance on January 1. So this is the beginning inventory balance. So that's 10,000 multiplied by 100 or 1 million total cost. Ayan, there's a purchase made on January 15 for 6,000 units, no? At 300 pesos per unit. So that would be 1.8 million. And then there's inventory sold, no? For 9,000 units on January 20. Then again, purchases on January 25 for 4,000 units at 500 pesos per unit for a total cost of 2 million pesos. And then on January 26, there's a purchase return for 1,000 pesos, or I mean 1,000 units at 500 pesos per unit or 500,000 pesos. No? So let's have problem number 2. Okay, so in problem number 2, ayan, nilagay ko ulit dyan. Oops. Oops. Okay, so in problem number 2, sabi ko dyan compute only for average cost. For every purchase or return, no? So, pag-usapan ngayon natin yan, ano ba requirements? So, what amount should be reported as inventory on January 31? No? So, of course, isa-isahin muna natin. So, we have beginning balance of 10,000. Given naman to class, 10,000 multiplied by 100. So, that's 1 million pesos. Purchases, ayan na. Sabi kasi natin, under the moving average method, we have to calculate for average cost every time there is purchase or purchase return. No? So on January 15, meron daw tayong purchases. Magkano? For 6,000. Magkano yung cost? 300 pesos. Total cost would be 1,800,000. So this is the first instance where we need to compute for the average cost, no? So total 10,000 beginning inventory plus 6,000, so total of 16,000 units. Ngayon, magkano yung total cost? 1 million yung beginning inventory. Magkano yung purchases ng January 15? So that's 1.8 million. Again, class, these are given, no? So total of 2,800,000. Paano ngayon yung pag-compute ng unit cost? Of course, this is just average, ano? So 2,800,000 divide by 16,000 or 175 pesos, no? So this is the average cost, no? Okay. So again, next we have sales naman, no? So on January 20, nakabenta daw tayo ng 9,000 units. Kung meron tayong benta na 9,000 units, magkano yung cost na gagamitin natin? Of course, we simply use the average cost that we just computed, no? Earlier on, no? So that's 175. So magkano lang yung natirang units natin, or this is the units available for sale, 16,000 less 9,000 na nabenta. So we have remaining inventory on hand na 7,000 units. At 175, so that would be 1,225,000. Then on January 25, bumili ulit tayo 4,000 units. Magkano? 500 pesos per unit for a total cost of 2 million. Again, this is the second instance where there is a purchase. So therefore, we have to calculate again for your average cost. So paano ulit yun? All we have to do is get the sum, no? So remaining balance natin kanina is 7,000. Add 4,000 purchase that we made on January 25. So that's 11,000. So kunin ulit natin yung sum naman ng total inventory remaining. So that's 1,225,000 plus yung purchase natin ng January 25 of 2 million. So that's 3,225,000 pesos. So 3,225,000 divided by 11,000, that's 293. So this is rounded up na, no, class, ha? 293. And then on January 26, nagkaroon daw tayo ng purchase return. Or remember, class, under the moving average method, we are required to compute for the average cost, no, every time there is purchase return or purchase made. Okay, so kung meron purchase return na 1,000, magkano daw yung valuation? So that's 500. So that's 500,000, no? So 11,000 less 1,000, so that would be 10,000 units. And this represent the ending inventory, no? And then 3,225,000 less 500,000, so that would be 2,725,000. So para makuha yung average cost, 2,725,000 divide by 10,000 or 273. Again, this is already rounded up, no? So the answer to requirement number 1 is 2,725,000 pesos, or letter A. Oh, class, what if the question here, or there's another question, no? So how much would be your total cost of goods sold? Of course, all we have to do is add, no? Magkano ba yung yung total purchases made? I mean, total sales made, no? So in this case, there's only one instance where we sold 9,000 units, no, on January 20. Ito lang naman yung nag-iisang sales transaction natin, no? So in that case, total cost of goods sold would be 1,575,000 pesos. So what if, class, no? So hindi lang isa yung sales transaction natin. So for example, meron pa tayong sales ng January 27, 28, and 29. So all you have to do is add those total cost, no, under the sales transaction lines. Okay, so that's problem number 2. Okay. So okay, so that's tama ba yun? Problem number 2. O sige, before we proceed with problem number 3, let's have another set of discussion, no? So subsequent measurement. Of course, class, no? Initially, when we discuss the inventory valuation, that's the we say we value our inventory at cost, no? So kung ano yung cost na pinag-uusapan doon, all you have to do is go back to the previous recording, no? But then subsequent measurement, no? So it's the lower of cost or net realizable value. So paano ba yung pag-compute ng net realizable value? It's the estimated selling price less cost to complete less cost to sell, no? So that represents your NRV. Okay, so now in terms of calculating the NRV, sabi natin the standard requires that this would be performed on a per item basis, no? So item by item. Why? Because this is the most conservative method, no? So meaning this will give us the lower of cost, no, between the cost and the net realizable value. Again, I have prepared a discussion problem to further discuss this, no? So we'll have this again, I think on problem number 7 later, no? Okay, so again, if your cost is lower than your net realizable value, then there's no issue. But if your net realizable value is lower than the cost, then there's a difference. Of course, this difference will be considered a loss, no? What are the methods now, no, in accounting for losses? So there's direct method. In direct method, these losses are buried, no, are counted in your cost of goods sold, no? Then if it's allowance method, this is what the standards encourages you to use, no, allowance method, no? The difference is accounted as allowance for inventory write down, no? So there's if it's an increase in allowance, we have to recognize a loss, so it's plus to your cost of goods sold. If it's a decrease in allowance, there's a gain, so minus to your cost of goods sold. Okay? So still under the allowance method, no, para lang at least mas maintindihan, what are the pertinent entries that we have to complete when there is an increase in allowance? So debit loss and credit allowance for inventory write-down. If it's a decrease naman, debit allowance for the inventory write-down and credit gain. No? So gain um, would be credited. Okay, of course, no. Once we have completed all these, say, journal entries and adjusting entries, paano ba yung presentation naman doon sa statement of financial position or simply your balance sheet, no? Uh, of course, inventory would be recognized, would be recorded at cost, and then less allowance for inventory write-down. That's why this allowance for inventory write-down is a contra asset account, no? So you have to deduct this in order for you to come up, or in order for you to calculate for the net realizable value. O sige, for us to better understand those concepts or cement your understanding of the inventory subsequent measurement, no? Let's have discussion problem number 3. So in discussion problem number 3, first question would be, what amount should be recognized as gain on reversal of inventory write-down in 2022? And then in number 2, what amount should be reported as cost of goods sold in 2022? On December 31, 2021, an entity experienced a decline in the value of inventory, resulting in a write-down from 4 million cost to 3.5 million net realizable value. The entity used the allowance method to record the necessary adjustment. In 2022, market conditions have improved dramatically. On December 31, 2022, the inventory had a cost of 5 million pesos and net realizable value of 4.8. The entity made purchases of 20 million pesos in 2022. So let's have discussion problem number 3. Okay. So let's have the allowance method first. No? Ang tandaan, ang tinatanong lang naman sa atin sa requirement number 1 is how much is the gain on the reversal of write-down in 2022. So gawin natin class para lang at least mas maintindihan. Under the allowance method, so beginning inventory, sabi natin, we'll record it at cost. No? So beginning inventory, that's 4 million. Add net purchases. Net purchases also given. So that's 20 million pesos. So add the two, you'll get your goods available for sale, again at cost. So that's 24 million. How much is the ending inventory? So ending inventory, again at cost, that would be 5 million pesos. No? So now we have the cost of goods sold before write-down. So that's 19 million. Stop muna tayo dyan. Wala pang kakaiba. No? Kasi nga yan yung basic accounting natin. That's how we calculate for your cost of goods sold. Now, pag-usapan ngayon natin yung lower of cost or net realizable value. Una natin pag-usapan yung December 31, 2022. Magkano ba yung total cost? 5 million. Pero magkano yung NRV? NRV was reported at 4.8 million. So therefore, there's a difference of 200,000 pesos. Now, how about the beginning inventory? So in beginning inventory natin, again, the cost was 4 million pesos. Pero magkano yung net realizable value? So that's only 3.5 million. So therefore, meron tayong difference of 500,000. So if we have to compute for the net amount, so that would be 300,000 what? Gain or decrease in allowance, no? Kasi initially, meron tayong na-record na 500,000 pesos na gain, no? And then in 2022, we have to record another 200,000. So the net decrease in allowance Again, this is gain would be 300,000 pesos. So that's 19 million less 300,000. So the cost of goods sold after write down would be 18,700,000. Actually, that answers both questions na. So in number one, the answer is 300,000. So that's the gain on reversal of write down in 2022 of 300,000. So letter B. And then in number two, what amount should be reported as cost of goods sold in 2022? So that would be 18,700,000 or letter C. Ngayon, pag-usapan ngayon natin class, no? Paano kung direct method? Kasi class, pag direct method, ang sabi natin, all of these differences are buried in your cost of goods sold, no? So we don't really have to itemize it, no? So paano 'yon? Beginning inventory, i-record na agad natin. Record na natin agad using the lower of cost or net realizable value. So beginning inventory, how much? Ano ba yung mas mababa? Is it the cost or the NRV? So in this case, the NRV is lower, so we have to get the lower amount, no? Kaya nga 'di ba, lower of cost or net realizable value. So therefore, that's 3.5 million. Add the net purchases, ito naman din nagbago, so that's 20 million. Pansinin mo, i-add lang natin yung dalawa, that's 23.5 million. Ending inventory. So magkano ang ending inventory natin? Cost is 5 million. And net realizable value is 4.8 million. So we use whichever is lower. So the lower amount would be the net realizable value. So therefore, we put 4.8 million as the ending inventory. Kaya kung napansin mo, after deducting that from the available for sale, we also get cost of goods sold at 18,700,000, which is similar to the ones that we have computed under the allowance method. So parehas lang siya, parehas lang yung lalabas na result. Ang naiba lang under the allowance method is we recognize those change or difference between the cost and the net realizable value. Again, this is what the standard encourages us to use, no? So the allowance method. Why? Because yun nga, this is conservative in such a way that you can actually trace, no? Saan ba nagagaling yung valuation, subsequent valuation ng inventory natin, no? So that's problem number 3. I hope you can still follow. Kung nakikita nyo yung approach natin, we discuss first the theoretical part and then apply it straight, no, to the discussion, different discussion problems. Okay, so let's have, okay, this is problem number 4. Actually, this is, sabi natin na no-brainer, no? Kasi nga naman, pinapakompute lang sa atin yung LCNRV or lower of cost or net realizable value, no? So what amount should be reported as inventory under the LCNRV? An entity has two products in the inventory, so product X and product Y. Given are the selling price, materials and conversion costs, general administration costs, and the estimated selling cost. So with that, pag-usapan natin yung problem number 4. Problem number 4, tandaan, under LCNRV, we're actually comparing two, no? So the cost versus the net realizable value. And then earlier on, we've discussed also, ano nga ba yung NRV? Paano nga ba nakukompute yung NRV? It's the selling price, estimated selling price, less cost to complete, less cost to sell, no? So with that, how much is the cost for product X? Product X is 1.5 million. Product Y is 1.8 million. Class, I just dropped the 3 zeros, no? Pero I hope you can still follow, no? NRV. So paano natin makukompute yung NRV? Sabi natin, estimated selling price less cost to sell or less cost to complete, less cost to sell, no? So in this case, 2 million less the estimated selling cost of 600,000. So that would be 1.4 million pesos for product X. Now for product Y, we have a selling price of 3 million less estimated selling cost of 700,000, or that would be 2,300,000. Again, class, in this case, we have to compare cost versus the NRV, and then we record whichever is lower. So for product X, that would be the NRV at 1.4 million. And then for product Y, we use the cost, no? Because it's lower compared to the NRV of 2.3 million. So that would be 1.8 million pesos. We just add the two to get the inventory valuation at 3.2 million pesos, or letter B. So that's problem number 4. So kung napansin nyo, in this case class, we didn't touch the general administration cost kasi this is what? Period cost. No? This is not related whatsoever to your inventoriable cost. No? So that's problem number 4. Let's have problem number 5. Ito, tiyagain lang natin. Medyo mahaba yung problem, pero mahaba yung problem, pero madali lang naman yung hinihingi. No? So number 1, requirement. What is the inventory measurement under LCNRV individual approach? Number 2, what is the inventory measurement under LCNRV total approach? Number 3, what is the inventory measurement under the LCNRV category approach? No? So let's have problem number 5. Good thing about problem number 5 class, binigay naman na yung ano ba yung LCNRV. So binigay na ano ba yung lower of cost between cost and lower between cost and NRV. No? So all we have to do is we just do the addition. No? So requirement number 1, ang hinahanap sa atin is individual approach. So in that case, we have 2.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.6 plus 1.8. So that would be 7.4 million pesos. Individual approach class, meaning we have to look into the cost individually. No? So number 2 naman, ang kailangan natin is total approach. No? So in this case, we just have to get the sum. No? Pag total approach, kunin lang muna natin yung 2.5 plus 1.7 plus 2 million plus 1.9. So ang total nitong apat is 8.1 million. No? This is the cost, para hindi malito, and this is NRV. So also we get the sum, no, for this NRV. So we have 2.8 for product A. O para hindi malito, lagay ko na rin dito si product A, B, C, and D. This is LCNRV. So kunin natin ulit yung sum ng NRV. So 2.8 plus 1.5 plus 1.6 plus 1.8. So that would be 7.7 million. So in this case, we have to compare ano ba yung mas mababa between the cost and NRV in looking at the total approach. No? So in that case, we use 7.7 million or NRV. No? Okay, let's have let's have requirement number 3. Category approach naman. So in category approach, we have to get the sum of each category. No? So this is category 1, and then this is category 2. So that's 2.5 plus 1.7, meron ka total na 4.3. Okay, ito para hindi nakakalito. And then we have 2.8 plus 1.5. Compare the two. Ano ba yung mas mababa? So this is cost. And this is NRV. So we get the cost, no? Because it's lower. So that's 4.2 million. And then category 2, so we have 2 million plus 1.9 million. So that's 3.9. And then for NRV naman, we have 1.6 plus 1.8. That's 3.4. No? So again, we compare the two. Ano yung mas mababa? So we use NRV of 3.4. No? Of course, class, we just have to get the sum of these two para ngayon makuha natin yung total inventory measurement under the LCNRV or the category approach naman. No? So that would be 7.6 million. So letter D, 7.7 million for number 2. So that's D again. And then 7.4 million D ulit, no, for requirement 1. So that's problem number 5. Siguro ang tip lang dito, class, is be careful, no? Kasi kung napansin nyo, given na lahat ng data, all we have to do is just do a little math, no? But because ito nga dito sa problem, no, highlighted na, and then when I read it pa earlier, I put emphasis on this bold phrase, no, para lang at least mas ma-point out natin yung different approach, no, on LCNRV. Anyway, that's problem number 5. Let's have problem number 6. So in problem number 6, we'll talk another concept. No, this is the purchase commitment. No? So let me read first the requirements. Number 1, what amount should be recognized as loss on purchase commitment in 2021? And then number 2, what amount should be recognized as gain on purchase commitment for 2022? And then finally, on number 3, what amount should be debited to purchases on March 31, 2022? So let's have problem number 6. Sige, pag-usapan muna natin yung ano ba yung purchase commitment. No? So basically, class, in the purchase commitment, we're entering into a non-cancelable contract where we fix the price of our purchase. No? So whether there's a decrease or increase in the price, we lock the price as early as we enter into purchase commitment. So paano yan? So for example, kasi nga 'di ba kung nakikinig ka sa news ngayon, tumataas yung price ng crude oil, no? So therefore, as a manufacturer, gusto mo sana malak na yung price as early as now, no? So based on your research, mas tataas pa, no? So right now, a liter of unleaded gas is at about last na punta ko 60 pesos per liter. So sabi mo, based on my research, pwede ito maging 65, no? So there's this supplier, sabi ni supplier na to, sige, Mark, ako na lang ang example ko. If you purchase, if you enter into purchase commitment right now, I will sell you this crude oil, no, for 63 pesos per unit. A purchase will happen in 3 months pa, no? Based on your research, it could go as high as 65 per liter, no? Kaya ngayon pa lang, nilalak mo na yung price at 63. Pwede ba yon? Yes, pwede. Kung merong willing buyer or willing seller, no, to sell you at that price, no? So, I mean, that will be good, no? Ngayon, under purchase commitment, yun, we've locked the price at 63. Come 3 months, nangyari, ang presyo bumaba, naging 60, no? So paano ang gagawin nating accounting for purchase commitment? So sabi natin, class, when we enter into purchase commitment, that's non-cancelable. So therefore, we have to pay for 63 pesos, no? So para mas maintindihan pa yan, let's have problem number 6. So let me read the problem first. On December 1, 2021, an entity entered into a commitment to purchase 100,000 barrels of aviation fuel for 55 pesos per barrel. On March 31, 2022, the entity entered into this purchase agreement to protect itself against the volatility of the volatility in the aviation fuel market. By December 31, 2021, the purchase price of aviation fuel had fallen to 50 pesos per barrel. However, by March 31, 2022, when the entity took delivery of the 100,000 barrels, the price of aviation fuel had risen to 53 pesos per barrel. So, kung nasundan yung istorya, may parang storytelling, we enter into a purchase commitment to buy 100,000 barrels, no, at 53 55 pesos per barrel. Ngayon, at year-end, syempre we have to finalize our financial statement. Magkano daw yung presyo sa market? That's naging 50 pesos per barrel. So imagine, no? 55 yung commitment mo, naging 50 yung market price. So meron ka ngayong 5 pesos difference, no? Now, pagdating ng March 31, 2022, naging 53. So meron kang 55 na commitment pero 53 lang uh, sa market, no? So paano yung kailangan nating accounting, no? So let's have problem number 5, isa-isahin natin, no? Okay? So December 1, of course, when you enter into purchase commitment, there is no entry or accounting entry required. But on December 31, 2021, ito yung at year-end reporting, of course, we have to recognize loss. No? So paano yung computation natin? 55, again, this is the purchase commitment less the market price of 50 at December 31, 2021. So that's 5 pesos. No? So loss, debit 500,000, credit estimated liability for purchase commitment 500,000. Now, come March 31, 2022, ang tinatanong sa atin ngayon, yung recording ulit, no? So, again, in March 31, 2022, ang price na is 53. So, we have 53 minus 50. So, kasi 50 class, this is when we recognize that year-end. No? So, 53 minus 50, so that would be 3. So, debit estimated liability for purchase commitment of 300,000 and credit gain on reversal of loss. No? So, 300,000. So, of course, we have to record the purchases na, no? Kasi by March 31, 2022, dito na magma-materialize yung purchase, yung commitment natin to purchase, no? So paano yung recording natin? O class, take note of this. We have to record first the estimated liability. We have to close the estimated liability for purchase commitment, no? So meron pa tayong natitirang 200,000 kasi initially we recognized the estimated liability for purchase commitment for 500,000, no? Tandaan, no? December 31 nagkaroon tayo ng credit estimated liability for purchase commitment for 500,000. And then there's a reversal, so therefore debit, no? So nabawasan 'yon, meron tayong remaining balance of 200,000 which we need to close. So in order to close that, we have to debit, no? Debit estimated liability for purchase commitment for 200,000. Of course, the credit accounts payable, sabi natin, this is at fixed price, no? Fixed at the purchase commitment price. So that would be 55 pesos. So 55 pesos multiplied by 100,000, yan yung accounts payable natin or 5.5 million. Of course, the purchases would be 5.3 million. Actually, all you have to do is get the difference. No? So 5.5 million less 200,000. So that's 5.3 million pesos. So ngayon, pwede na natin sagutin yung requirements 1 to 3. So requirement number 1, what amount should be recognized as loss on purchase commitment in 2021? So the answer is 500,000. No? So this represent the loss that we recorded when we compare the purchase commitment price of 55 versus the market price on December 31, 2021 at 50 pesos. No? Ay, yung ginagawa ko. Okay, gulo ko no? Next, so that would be letter A. Number 2, gain on purchase commitment for 2022. So the answer is 300,000 or letter B. And then finally, what amount should be debited to purchases? So that's 5.3 million. Ngayon class, di ba earlier we talked about the lower of cost of net realizable value, no? So still, this is being applied here, no? So remember, yung fixed price natin at 55, this is your cost, no? Versus the market price. Magkano nga yung market price natin? At 53 pesos na lang. So kaya we record it at how much? 5.3 million. So ito yung recording natin, no? So kung napansin mo, this is still applying the lower of cost and net realizable value, no? So yun lang, pinatunayan lang natin that this still accounting for purchase commitment still follows the LCNRV. Okay, so let's have problem number 7. So in problem number 7 class, we'll talk about the class naman, no? So what amount of the cost should be allocated to class A lots, no? Kung naalala nyo, during my discussion earlier, ito yung in lump sum price, no? So ano nga yung approach? Sabi natin relative sales price approach, no? So we'll apply that concept on discussion problem number 7. So let me read the problem. During the current year, an entity purchased a tract of land for 12 million. The entity incurred additional cost of 3 million in preparing the land for sale. Of the tract of land, 70% was subdivided into residential lots and 30% was for road and the park. The tract of land was subdivided into residential lots as 100 Class A lots with sales price of 240,000 per lot, 100 Class B lots with sales price of 160,000 pesos per lot, and 200 Class C lots with sales price of 100,000 per lot. So what amount should be allocated to Class A lots? No? So in this case, class, well, let's have problem number 7 and let's do this. No? Basically, class, using the relative sales approach. No? So all we have to do is get the ratio first, no? So how much nga ba yung purchase price mo natin? So 12 million. Additional cost of 3 million, so we have a total cost of 15 million. So meaning this is what we need to allocate between lots A, Class A lots, Class B, and Class C. So magkano ba yung selling price muna? So meron tayong Class A, 240,000 multiplied by 100 lots. So that's 24 million. Class B naman, so that's, basahin natin, that's 100 lots, 460,000 pesos per lot. So that's 16 million. Sa Class C naman, meron tayong 200 lots at 100,000 per lot. So that's 20 million. So total would be 60 million pesos. So this would be the basis of our computation now, no? Okay. So gawa lang tayo ng gawa lang tayo ngayon ng ratio. So that's 6 million. Paano yun? So 15 million, ito yung i-allocate natin, ha, class? So kaya napansin mo, 15 million naging total, no? 24 over 60 multiplied by 15 million, so that's 6 million pesos. Pag kay B naman, so that's 16 over 60 multiplied by 15 million, so that's 4 million pesos. And kay Class C, Lot C naman, that's 20 over 60. O, saan mo na nakuha yung 20 over 60? So, pwede mo naman buuin. Pwede mong gawin 20 million over 60 million. Or drop the zeros, just put, pwede ngang 20 over 60. No? So, 20 over 60 multiplied by 15 million. So, that's 5 million pesos. Kung napansin mo, ginawa lang natin ang ratio in order for us to allocate the total cost. No? So the answer to requirement 1 would be 6 million pesos. So letter C. So that's problem number 7. Actually, that ends our discussion on inventory cost flow. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email or course it through your class PIDL, no? So
This has been your instructor, Mark Gibson. Thank you for learning with us. See you in our next discussion. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya!